Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we are showing you a ridiculous new Fire Stadium, because if there's one thing Fire cards needed at the moment, it's a bit more support. Our translation today comes from the lovely David Hochmann over at RappelmannTCG on Facebook, and, well, it's just ridiculous. It reads, according to David, and I have no reason not to believe him, once during either player's turn they may discard a card from their hand and then search their deck for 2 fire energy and put them into their hand. That's utterly ridiculous. Incidentally, apparently the best translation we've got for the name is Giant Furnace. Not perfect, but apparently will do. That is absolutely ridiculous. To put it in context of how ridiculous this is, we just got in Team Up Viridian Forest. Viridian Forest says that you may discard a card from your hand and then search for a basic energy card and put it into your hand. This, you still discard a card from your hand, but now you search for 2 energy. It is literally Viridian Forest, but you get to grab double the amount of energy. And Viridian Forest is seeing quite a lot of play at the moment. And incidentally, it should. Professor Letter rotated out when we had the last rotation. Energy Search actually rotated out the year before, so we don't have any Energy Search cards at the moment, not other than Viridian Forest. Now, to be fair, in Japan, they actually have Energy Spinner, which is pretty awesomely coming in on the fidget spinner craze. And Energy Spinner lets you just search for a basic energy, but if it's your first turn going second, you may search for free instead. So that's kind of cool. But we don't have just search for an energy card. So we're stuck with these stadiums. And Giant Furnace, if you're playing a fire deck, Giant Furnace is just objectively better than Viridian Forest. Remember, if you only want to grab 1 energy, your deck is private, so you can just grab 1 energy. If you really want, and I don't know why you would, but if you really want, you literally could just play this as a Viridian Forest. You could just use it as the same thing. But why would you when it's clearly so much better? Now, incidentally, we do actually have a way of searching basic fire energy. It's about the only one we do. We got Fiery Flint in Dragon Majesty. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for 4 basic fire energy and put them in your hand. Incidentally, it's literally just double that. Like, it's literally just double Giant Furnace. You discard twice the number of cards, you search for twice the number of cards. So, fire decks are really good at searching out cards nowadays. Here's the thing, right? If we didn't have the other ridiculous fire cards that we do, this would be great. But we do, ladies and gentlemen. So just on its own, this is ridiculous. But I think this is probably as good a time as any to bring in Welder. You see, Welder is a phenomenally good card that lets you attach 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. One of the only real downsides of Welder is that you have to have 2 fire energy in hand to use it. Oh, look. And here's the thing, right? Yes, it's a stadium, so it can be replaced by another stadium. It can be removed by Field Blower. But if it's not, it's just going to be sitting there ready to be used. Whereas something like Fiery Flint, you have to have that on the same turn you have a Welder. That is not the case here. You can just leave Giant Furnace in play, and then when you draw into a Welder, and there's a lot of people in Japan that are playing it with Pokegear 3.0, so you will draw into a Welder. Oh, look. Discard a card from your hand you don't want, search for 2 energy, immediately attach them with Welder. And do remember that Welder is not your energy attachment for the turn, so you can attach 2 with Welder and you can still attach a 3rd. But it's not just Welder. We've got a whole bunch of other cards at the moment which allow us to accelerate fire energy from our hand. One of my favourite cards at the moment is Flareon GX. Now, I have reservations as to whether Flareon does quite enough damage for Tag Team GXs, but that's a different question for a different day. The first attack for 1 fire energy, 30 damage, attach up to 3 fire energy from your hand to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Good news, you get to attach 3 fire energy. Bad news, you can only actually do that if you have the fire energy in your hand. Oh, look, in comes this. And fine, maybe you just have the 2. Maybe you don't have the 3rd. But that's fine, because you might have had none. If you've got a Flareon out, and you don't have any fire energy in hand, you can discard any card from your hand, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 fire energy. And the thing is, we can really take this just that little bit further by reminding ourselves about Reshiram GX. You see, Reshiram GX has a rather redonkulous GX attack that does 180 damage and allows you to attach 5 fire energy from your hand to your Pokemon in any way that you like. It's like a super-powered version of Flareon's attack. And one of the downsides I've always found with Reshiram is that even if you've got a Fiery Flint, you've still only actually got 4 energy, and Vermilion GX lets you attach 5 energy. Well, here you can actually get 6 energy using 1 Fiery Flint and this stadium. And that's why this stadium is so redonkulously good. If this was for fighting decks, I'd be like, that's really nice. But the fact that we've got Welder and Flareon and Reshiram makes me really, really love this to a rather ridiculous degree. And of course, we've got Fire Crystal at the moment, which lets you get free fire energy from your discard pile and put them into your hand. And all of a sudden, fire decks are just looking a little bit ridiculous. Over the past few days, I've shown you 3 different fire decks crushing over in Japan since Double Blaze came out and we got cards like Welder and Fire Crystal. I showed you Reshiram and Charizard GX. IGN have actually given us the English version of this so we can read the card and everything. 4 energy, 230, and it can't use this attack next turn. 3 energy, 200 as a GX attack, but 6 energy, 300, and it goes through any effects on the defending Pokemon. We've got Arcanine that either does 120 and attaches 2 fire energy from the discard to one of your bench Pokemon, or for 4 energy does 190 and 50 to itself. And then we've got Blacephalon that for 3 energy does 50 damage for each fire energy you discard from your hand. All 3 of them have been winning recently. I'll put links to the videos I did about the deck list in the description. But actually, let's just take a quick look at Blacephalon, because, hang on a second, Blacephalon does 50 damage for each energy you discard from your hand. So if you can find a way to get lots more energy in hand, Blacephalon's going to be a much better Pokemon that does a lot more damage. Oh, look. If you want to play a Blacephalon deck, this is just kind of over-the-top nuts good. And to be fair, we've even got really good draw power for fire decks at the moment. We got Heat Factory Prism Star that lets you discard a fire energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. And then we've got Salazzle, whose ability is exactly the same. Now, incidentally, Heat Factory Prism Star is one of the very, very, very minor issues. With Giant Furnace here, you can only have 1 stadium card in play at a time, so you kind of have to choose between the 2 of them, or at least you will sometimes. The thing is, Heat Factory Prism Star is a Prism Star stadium. So the reality is you're going to get it for a turn or 2 and then it's going to go away. So it's not really going to be a huge issue. And to be honest with you, it lets you draw cards which you're probably going to draw an energy or 2 anyway, because these fire decks tend to play a lot. In a vacuum, this would be a great card. But when you've got Welder, Flareon, and Reshiram that attach from the hand, Blacephalon that needs a handful of energy to discard to do lots of damage, and then other fire Pokemon like Arcanine and Reshiram and Charizard, we've got a really good suite of fire tricks at the moment. Fire is crushing over in Japan, and this isn't out. Incidentally, this is from Sun and Moon 10A. This is, weirdly enough, the first card we've seen from the next set in Japan, which is starting to leak a lot earlier than Double Blaze did. Having said that, this was in the Famitsu magazine. This might literally just be a one-off. We might be waiting a little while to see any more cards from this set. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. What I do know is this is a 5 Wossie card. This is just a flat-out 5 Wossie card. And maybe in a different metagame it wouldn't be. But in the meta we've got at the moment, we've got great fire Pokemon. We've got a whole bunch of cards that really need lots of fire energy in hand. And we've got a stadium which is literally twice as good as a stadium which is already good and seeing play. I don't see any argument against this being a 5 WOSI card, and frankly, time to start playing fire decks. But at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I would very much like to know what you think about this card. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.